Hello, everybody. Today we're going to make some hash browns on a Blackstone griddle. As some tips for you about cutting up your hash browns. You want to cut your hash browns pretty small. So go for like less than 1 centimeter squared so that you can brown them quickly and on all sides. So what you do to cut a little hash brown is you take your potato and you first cut it into fries. So there's some nice fry shapes. And I always say, if you're doing this for company, make sure it's all symmetrical and they're all the same. If you're not, don't worry about it. You can vary it with your cooking time. So you're going to make these little fries, and then you're going to take these little fries and you're going to dice them again into hash browns. And you're also going to do your onions like we've talked about before, where you're going to put a grid on the onions and then you're going to slice that grid. So I'm going to cut up a whole bunch of these, and you can too, before we put them on our grill. And I have lots of tips for you about how we're going to grill hash browns and how you season them and timing, etc. Our hash browns are all nicely chopped up now, and they have some onions chopped up in them. So we're going to throw these on our Blackstone grill. And let's talk a little bit about how we'd be doing that. So the one thing to note about the grill is that when I'm doing hash browns or something like hash browns, a carb like that, I want to do it on sort of a medium to low heat so that they don't all burn. And I'm going to use like a saturated fat for that. That's going to make it like kind of nice and crispy, like a duck fat would be good. I'm using a beef fat and you kind of want a lot of it. So we know that fries are not a really healthy food, and this is basically like making fries, right? The other thing I want you to know about grilling something like hash browns is that the water content matters. So you want a lot of oil or fat on these for them to crisp up nicely, but you don't want a lot of water on them. And these potatoes were grown with, they have a lot of water in them. These are plant cells that are mostly water. So you do want to get that water off your hash browns just with a clean paper towel before you cook them, so that they nice and crisp up. You don't want soggy hash browns. So that's one step. When you're making your hash browns, don't season them first, because then your seasonings are going to get all kind of burnt and taste differently. Don't put garlic in them. It's going to not crisp up as much. You do have that onion there. It's sort of essential for the taste. But make sure that you have these good and dry, and you don't put your seasonings on until last. So we're going to make these nice and crispy by just moving them around so that they all have the fat on them. Okay, so I'm going to get all of these fat on them, and I'm going to kind of like let them freeze in position to get one side crispy, and then I'm going to take my spatula and kind of turn them so another side gets crispy. I'm going to take what's on my hot zone and I'm going to move it to the cold zone. I'm going to move the cold to the hot zone, and then we'll see how crispy we can get these. We'll check on these now by flipping over, and we can see that they've started browning up nicely. These are the ones I haven't flipped. These are the ones I have flipped, nice and brown. So all I have to do now is just flip them so that all their sides get brown without any of them getting burnt. I did pause the video, but that only took about 2 full minutes. Spread them out on the heat source here. I am cooking on high right now, actually, because I'm running out of time for my family, but normally I would do this on low. If I want, I can pull some into this little bed of oil of fat that I have here. Make those ones really crispy. I have that bed of fat there because I've propped up the back of my grill to make it drain this way in sort of a sauce mode. So those are looking perfect. So we will season them now. So how I like to season them, of course, it's whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's whatever herbs I'm growing outside. So I will chop those up. It's whatever spice that I tend to like working on right now or with right now. So I have a lot of this in my kitchen right now. I have a lot of this, the chives herb in the garden right now. I don't mind even putting the flowers in, so I'll chop right into those flowers. Get rid of the pieces that my kids call grass. They say, why are you feeding me grass, Mom? Pretty small pieces. I'm putting these on pretty like last because they would get burnt if I put them on first. Speaking of burnt, we're getting burnt right now. I'm going to turn this completely off. And it is perfect crispiness. I also like to season with sort of a North American take on what you get from a masala daba. So I'll put a little bit of paprika in. I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric in and a little bit of a curry sauce in and some fennel because my family just absolutely loves those flavors. So that's not the way you make a curry, but those are some borrowed flavors that I love putting in almost all of my cooking. So there you have it. And not very long at all. This grill, I've actually never done this before on this grill, but this grill worked out really nicely for these hash browns. And I'm going to just serve those with some egg. I'll take these off, then I'll throw some egg on there really, really quickly, roll up the egg for each person. And I will also serve it with a nice salad, and that'll be a good summertime meal. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you can make that too. Thanks.